Hey Ken, this is Greg. It is Wednesday, January the 12th, the year 2022. This is number 6 in our series of lessons talking about To Kill a Mockingbird. Just want to tell you up front, this is not going to be very long. We just simply read the chapter in class. They had other things that we were working on in class, so we didn't get much of an opportunity to discuss it. Actually, we hardly talked about it at all. But there are 4 main things that I wanted, this is from chapter 4, that I wanted just to discuss here, and I'm sure you know them already, but this will probably be most of my discussion tomorrow, even though tomorrow we have shorter class periods. We have something special on Thursdays. But anyway, these are the points that I want to make. First of all, Dill returns, and Scout had said summer meant most of all dill. Didn't mean other. I mean, meant other things too, but most of all it meant dill. Dill told him some tall tales as soon as he arrived, like his father owns the L&N Railroad, and Dill himself got to drive the train. Yeah, the typical young kid talk. But Jim didn't believe him. I'm unsure whether Scout did or not, but Jim certainly didn't believe him. So Dill returns. It's summer vacation now at school, so they got some things planned, things that they're going to do. But one of the main things they wanted to do was to play games, and I think that's point number 2. Yes, they had before played the Rover Boys, the books, the Rover Boys, and some other games as well. But Jim came up with a new game. I think it was Jim. Is it Jim or Dill? Came up with a new game. They were going to play Boo Radley, and they were going to reenact episodes that they had heard from adults, mainly about things that Boo Radley had done. And they put him underneath the house to pretend like it was the time when he was in the basement at the courthouse, and he howled and he screamed, he shrieked, and everything like that. And but the biggest episode was they reenacted when Boo stabbed his own father, in the leg with a pair of scissors. I mean, obviously they knew probably what they were doing was not right, because they sneaked into the house to get the scissors while Calpurnia was, Jim sneaked into the house while Calpurnia was not looking. They got caught by Atticus, and the kids, you can't say necessarily they lied, they just didn't simply tell all the truth. Atticus asked him, "What are you all doing?" And Jim replied, "Nothing." And that was his standard answer, nothing. At the end, Atticus just makes a statement. He goes, "Listen, I don't want you disturbing the Radley family," or however he said it. It was basically like that. "I don't want you tormenting those people, the people that live there." And it was obvious, it was even obvious to my kids who never read any of this before, that Atticus knew exactly what they were doing. In Atticus's own way, he was letting them come to the conclusion that what they were doing was not a good thing to do. And he wasn't putting the foot down, but however, he did make the statement. He said, "If I catch you playing, tormenting them," I forget what exact words he used. Basically, he said, "I'll wear you out, tan your hide," or whatever he said. It was one of those two. It was one of those 2 phrases. So it was pretty obvious Atticus knew what the kids were doing, and I couldn't tell the kids this, but you probably remember later in the book they find out that Atticus knew all along what they were doing. It was just his way. He was letting his own kids commit their own errors and then hopefully learn from them. And that was just what Atticus believes. The third thing was, and this was a pretty good discussion. Well, like I said, we didn't have much time for discussion. But the 2 items that were in the knothole in the tree at the edge of the Radley yard, first of all, Scout had found the chewing gum, the Wrigley's Double Mint Gum. And then later, Scout and Jim, on the last day of school, they found the 2 pennies there. And of course, Jim, in his mature way and everything, he goes, "Scout, Indians made these." And of course, I had to tell the kids that no, the Indians didn't make those. They were minted by the United States government. And, this story takes place in the early 1930s, sometimes 32, 33, 34, somewhere like that. And Jim said, man, we got some real old ones here. I got one from 1906, and the other one's 1900. Man, they just thought they had a gold mine. And Jim said, these are made by the Indians, and they give you like special magical powers. You do well in your 6 weeks grade at school, and you have all kinds of luck and health and stuff like that. And again, just typical kids talk. And that's really what I've been kind of work on my students with, realize, again, what the perspective of this book is being told through, she's recalling it years later, but it's being told through the perspective of a 6-year-old girl, Scout Finch. But I like the way that the character, the narrator, the older Scout, she never gives things away. She just lets it unfold as she remembers it. So anyway, we discussed that, and I had a thing at the very end of today, and I asked all the students, I gave them a little notepad, and they were supposed to use the top page, and they were supposed to write on the notepad the significance of the things in the knot hole, how they get there, what they mean, stuff like that. And I think it was unanimous. Everybody in my class agreed that Boo Radley had put them there. But the reasons they gave were very varied. Somebody said he put them there to scare kids. He put them there to let, as a message to anybody who'd find them, that help me, I'm stuck in my house. And they gave all kinds of reasons. A couple of them actually got fairly close to it. The obvious answer is, he's putting them there. He cares about Jim and about Scout in a way, in his own way, as you know from the end of the book as well. And they're like his friends. I mean, Boo's like a child in his mental age, and he's in the process of looking out for them. And in his only way that he can manage this, because he's really not allowed outside. The kids have never seen him in 15 years or more. In his own way, he's trying to tell them, I'm your friend, which, again, there's a couple other episodes that we'll talk about that, a couple other chapters. The last thing was, remember when they rolled Scout inside the tire, and they rolled her down the street. Jim pushed her as fast as he could because he was mad at her for something she had said. And he just pushed her, and she couldn't get out. She couldn't put her hands or feet out to stop it. She was stuck in there, and she rolled all the way up to the Radley porch, and she knocked the tire, rolled into the bottom step of the front porch. And when she got there, of course, she was so dizzy she couldn't run or anything. But Jim made her mad, so she wasn't going to tell him everything. And at the very end of the chapter, she said, what I didn't tell him was that when I was at the house, I heard a laugh coming from inside the house. I didn't ask my students who they thought the laugh was. I'm assuming they all thought it was Boo Radley, which of course it was, because his growing care and concern for them, friendship, even though it's one-sided, a friendship with them. So really, that's we just read the chapter today. We didn't actually do much discussing, but we'll continue on tomorrow. We will continue reading tomorrow, and I'll have another video for you then. Until then, until next time. See you, Kim.